Bill Henshaw here again, Constitutional Crisis Channel, and I want to talk about a couple of recent events that on the surface might not appear to be related, but in my view, I believe they are. The first is the shooting up there in Sacramento, where the poor guy got shot in the back 8 times and killed, which looks for all the world to me like second-degree murder. And then you have the recent shooting in Florida in the Parkland schools down there. That's of a different character altogether. But there are some similarities here. And I don't know, now personally, between you and me, with the listener here and the viewer, I'm enough of a conspiracy theorist that, you can say, well, the guy's lost it here. But, the Florida one in particular, I think if the truth came out, that individual involved might well have been a subject of MK Ultra or who knows what other shenanigans they pull in Langley these days to go out and do what he did at his age. That said, I think these situations are both related in that we have a system here that does not recognize states, they don't recognize state citizens, they don't recognize the creator endowed inalienable rights that we have. The 9 old farts, otherwise known as the Supreme Court, have ruled, I hand to God, they've ruled that a taxpayer can be taxed out of existence without any apparent need for an administrative hearing, let alone a trial by jury according to the course of the common law, which, as you'll later find out, is secured to inhabitants of territories. But if you're a taxpayer, quote unquote, you have no rights which the de facto National Socialist government is bound to respect. I don't make this stuff up. You can look it up. Case is called Enochs, E-N-O-C-H-S versus Williams, 370 U.S. 1. I also have on this subject, or had, if I'm going to get it back, I'll have a hard copy of it, report from the House Subcommittee on Banking and Finance, where it says right in there, a taxpayer has a zero interest in his time and labor. They don't recognize our rights at all. And if we have no right to our time and labor, how, it might be asked, do we have any right to our life? That's the connecting dot between Sacramento and Florida, is that, the mindset, especially if you're a young kid or if you're a case-hardened cop, and probably a lot of these cops involved in this incident and other ones, are veterans of the military, and most of them probably have PTSD and have no business doing anything other than a desk job. But the mindset is such, since the government teaches that its citizens don't have any rights, then where's the harm in taking life if there isn't any value to it? Now, I'm going to tell you, look up the most famous dissent in the history of the United States Supreme Court on this subject. Came in 1928. Case is called Olmstead, O-L-M-S-T-E-A-D, versus United States, 277-438. The dissent is by Justice Brandeis. And all you have to do is go in there and Google decency, security, and liberty alike. And this is going to pop up. And Brandeis goes on to say that, if the government is a lawbreaker, it encourages other people to break the law, and it encourages anarchy. He also says, and this is in the context of a Fourth Amendment search and seizure, an opinion later reversed, by the way, we'll go into that another time, for the government to be able to break the law and commit crimes in order to convict a criminal is out of bounds. He says we can't allow that to happen. Now, he says it much more eloquently than what I just did, but he said if you start, you get the camel's nose in the tent, where do we stop? And he was absolutely right. It's a beautiful dissent, and even most attorneys, believe it or not, that I've been around actually know about this one. So much of what I use, you might as well be talking to a blank wall. They've actually heard of Olmstead. You actually get that, and they actually understand that when they go to law school. But they don't understand the underlying meaning of it, at least not in this day and age. But you look that up, read it, or better yet, if you want to, send me an email, ccaspari@live.com, and I will send you a digital version of that, and I may have the whole case, and if I do, it may be highlighted, I don't know if this one will be annotated. Sometimes I do some annotations of these cases with my own thoughts parenthetically, and those are beeped too. I'll have to make up a list of those so you know what it is I have. But if you do that, you'll see the commonality here. And any of you that are fans of the works of Ayn Rand, who I absolutely love, and I wish I would have known about her when I was in high school 50 years ago, well, she gets to the point because all this relates to philosophy. In fact, she wrote a book called Philosophy, Who Needs It? And that's one I can cheerfully recommend for you to read. Because if the philosophy, on the one hand, is that it's a government of thugs and that they have the right to do anything to you that they want to do because you've agreed to it, that's how we get incidents like this. If we have a government that we're supposed to have that recognizes our sovereignty and rights and the limits on government power, that's still not a perfect situation, and I don't think it can be one. But boy, is that going to be a whole hell of a lot better, right? We have a lot more control of our own lives and our own property. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's what it is I want to restore. So these two incidents that at first blush don't look a whole lot alike, I think have a lot in common when the final story comes out, and we'll see how they play out in the courts and figure it out from there. I'll have more to say about it later. Thank you.